All right, good afternoon, boys and girls.
Good afternoon.
All right, this afternoon we are going to work on our reading strategy of questioning. Good readers always have questions before they read, during their reading, and after their reading. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start. I'm going to show you the story we're going to read today. And I want you to write on your Post-it a question you have from just looking at the pictures and reading the title. So everybody write on your Post-it note a question you have by just looking at the title and the pictures. The title is A Chair for My Mother.
Okay, forget it.
So everybody write a question. Give you a minute. Even if you're not finished, when I count to 3, please turn to your partner with your microphone and ask the question that you wrote on your sticky note. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I wonder she chair for their mother with a bunch of flowers. Where is that person? Where is that person?
Good questions. All right, everybody freeze. Freeze. I'm going to call on 2 people to put up a before you read question that you had. Somebody who's sitting nicely. Nick D, what was your question?
Where is that person?
Where is what person?
The person.
Okay, so where's the person on the front of the front cover? Nick D, go ahead, put your question up. And I'm going to choose one more person. Justin.
I wonder what chair are they going to get?
Okay, I wonder what chair they're going to get. Go ahead, put it up. All right, so now we're going to start reading. And I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to ask you to ask another question about what we're reading. So, A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job, too. I wash the salt and the peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for my onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into a jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired, she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried, but each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into a jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our house. All our chairs burned, so did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. So who had a question at the beginning about what kind of chair they're going to get? Justin. So, we know now, our question's been answered because we kept reading, and now we know it looks like they're going to get a chair with roses on it. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips, and I was saying I liked yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see a lot of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All of the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother? Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's here. She's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too. Though it took a while to find her, but everything else in our whole house was spoiled. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. This is what happens when you have a fire. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. They bought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's other sister Sally had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss Josephine brought pots and pans, silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and we can start over." And we'll stop in 1 second. I'm going to read one more page. That was the last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut a potato, she has to get as comfortable as she can on the hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into that jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. All right, on your second sticky note, write a question that you have now. Go ahead. Joe, 1 second. What question do you have now that we're in the middle of the story, during our reading? Seems like everybody's done. Stop. Everybody pick up your microphone. And ask your partner your question.
It's enough for the chair.
What's your question? Justin?
I don't think Jen the chair He just a junior vote. That's exactly the same.
Everybody freeze.
Back to you, Luke.
Freeze. Who thinks they have a good question for during your reading? All right, Joe, tell us.
did the fire start both times?
How did the fire start both times? Go ahead. Great question.
Great question.
I was wondering that too. All right, Hunter.
I wonder if they're gonna, I wonder if the kids are gonna buy new furniture.
We're gonna buy new furniture, especially a chair. Go ahead. Put that up.
Why do we like chairs?
All right, so let's see if we can answer our questions. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for all the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my mother's day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair.
Yeah.
We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried our big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Bears, trying out all the chairs. So they're looking for a chair that's just right.
Hey, did you read that 2 days ago?
Finally, we found the chair we were dreaming of. And the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down into their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered.
Another fire. Wait, which chair is it?
In the middle.
See it?
The red.
I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but let me sit in it while they carried it up the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn out the lights as I fall asleep in her lap. So was there a question answered? Did they get the chair that they wanted?
Yes.
But I still want to know how the car.
Yeah, they don't tell you how the fire started.
What?
That's their picture that they took. Okay, so sometimes during our reading, you will not always get the answer to all your questions, but good readers always ask questions. So now that we're finished with our book, I want you to come up with one last question that you have. What did the author leave you wondering? What question did the author leave you having? Go ahead and write it on your sticky note.
What question do you have at the end of the story?
All right, everybody, when I count to 3, well, if you didn't write one, just make sure you talk to your partner. When I count to 3, please ask your question to the person next to you. Go 1, 2, 3.
My question is,
All right, freeze. I'm going to call on 2 more people to come up and tell me your question after you read the story. What question do you have? And I need it to be a really good question. Luke.
What are they gonna get another chair?
Are they going to get another chair? Maybe they'll get another jar and fill it and get another chair. Okay?
Well, I couldn't write with it because I didn't. My pencil ran out with it.
Okay, so borrow Nick's pencil. Okay, who thinks they have a really good question? Adele. And use your microphone. I can't hear Adele.
I wonder where the cat is.
Oh, she wonders where the cat went. Yeah, we don't know. Okay, put that up. All right, so boys and girls, questioning is another reading strategy that we will work on throughout the year in third grade. We will revisit it. So get used to doing this. Sometimes I will make you question your reading more. So you can always do this while you're reading on your own. Question yourself, take a little Post-it note, and write your questions down. And then when you're done reading that book, go back and see if your questions were answered. Okay? Thank you.